Before chapter 3 is this story called The Story of the Greedy Fisherman. Tucked away in the village lived two brothers and a sister. Tauta'i, the eldest brother, had inherited their father's fishing boat, and day after day he went out on the lagoons to fish. The younger siblings, Lalolagi and Masina, kept the house neat and worked hard to make their brother's life easy. But ignoring all they did, Tauta'i grew resentful of his younger brother and sister. "Why should I feed them?" he scoffed. "It is hot out here on the water day after day, and they are lazy in the shade. I will not bring them any fish today." So, when he had caught enough for himself, he lay back in the boat and slept until sunset. When he returned to shore, his brother and sister greeted him as usual. "Hello, brother. Did you have good luck today?" they asked. "No, I did not catch much, and so I have nothing to share with you," Tauta'i said, holding up the few fish he had snagged. "After all, it is I who need strength to go out and fish tomorrow." His brother and sister lamented his poor luck on the lagoon, but did not argue. That night they went hungry. The next day, Tauta'i again went fishing and returned with just enough for himself. After another day of this, Lalolagi approached Tauta'i. "Brother," Lalolagi said, "perhaps you should take me with you on the boat and teach me to fish as well. Surely the two of us could catch twice the fish." "It is my boat. I will not have you on it," Tauta'i said selfishly. "You will scare away the fish, and then we will have none at all." As the days continued in this fashion, the villagers took note of how Tauta'i was mistreating his siblings. An elder scolded Tauta'i, saying, "This is not the way of our village. How could you treat your family so? We all must share our bounty." But Tauta'i just laughed and waved him off. So the villagers shared their own food with Lalolagi and Masina, taking care of everyone in the community the way they always had. Lalolagi and Masina were grateful to the villagers and helped them with their chores, but they longed to contribute their own food so they could repay the favor one day. Lalolagi went to their elderly neighbor with a proposal. "If Masina and I help you with your taro fields, may we have some of your crop?" The neighbor agreed, for he had no children of his own and had more land than he could work by himself. Week after week, Masina and Lalolagi gladly knelt side by side with their neighbor, learning how to turn the earth and plant the taro. He showed them how to dig a pit to store taro for the future. One day, Masina and Lalolagi were walking through the forest when they scared a flock of birds. As they watched them flap away, Masina had an idea. "Lalolagi, could we not weave a net to catch these birds, just like the fishermen use nets to catch fish?" Lalolagi agreed. It was worth trying, so the two siblings set about weaving a net together. The next day, they went back to the forest and quietly spread the net, then startled the flock. That night they ate a delicious meal, sharing some with their neighbor. They offered some to Tauta'i, but their older brother glanced at the bird meat and turned up his nose. "That is more bone than meat," he said. "I will stick to my fish." Secretly, Tauta'i thought the roast smelled wonderful, but he did not want to have to share his fish. Storm season arrived with a series of furious gales, the winds so powerful that it was not safe to sail, and the waves so frenzied that the fish were scared away from the lagoon. Day after day, the fishermen, including Tauta'i, were unable to catch anything. The villagers fell back on their stores of taro, but when Tautai asked for some, the elders looked sternly at him. "Why don't you ask if your brother and sister will share with you?" they said. Knowing he had mistreated them, Tautai was loath to ask them, so he tried to forage for coconuts and sweet potatoes. But Tautai didn't know the island very well, and the sweet potato he chose was unripe and made him ill. "Brother," Messina said, coming to Tataui's side as he rolled on the floor, "what is wrong?" Moaning, Tautai pointed to the sweet potato. Messina studied it and shook her head. "That was most foolish of you," she said. "That is not ready to eat. I can make you a soup to help, but please tell me, why did you have it in the first place?" As Messina made the soup, Tautai admitted he had not caught any fish for days. Messina and Lalalagi looked at each other, then turned to Tautai. "Brother," Lalalagi said, "we have plenty of food, and we are happy to share our taro and bird meat with you." Tautai was ashamed that his brother and sister were so generous and forgiving when he had been selfish and cruel. He vowed that, when the storms passed, he would teach them to fish. From that day on, the three siblings lived happily, sharing their food, and the villagers smiled to see harmony restored.